Let's hit the button and get on there. So let's see if that worked, which I hope it did. I think we might. I do believe we are live. Let us know, peeps, if we are live.
There we are. It just popped up.
Lovely darts. So we'll let a few people trickle in. Sorry about the dodgy haircut. It's not good. Look at Alex. Look, Alex has come on and set the tone. He's looking pretty swish. Paul's looking like he's been carved out of frigging marble. And I've come on with this hair. Terrible. You know the old Pink Panther cartoon where at the start of the cartoon they used to put the hairdryer on him, his hair went. I've got here. I don't know what happened, and I can't be asked. So it's just one of them. Unfortunately, ladies and gents, that's what I'm rolling with tonight. It's the dodgy hairstyle, and it's going to be here all night. So we've got a few absentees tonight, guys. We got Ryan, who is, I believe, at the in-laws for this weekend. But Ryan's fallen out with me anyway, so there it is. We've got Rawley Ray, who is coming on shortly. We've got John Thompson, who is currently, right now, commentating the Canadian Nationals that are going on. And I've seen a couple of results trickling in through the day, so we might even see him and get a little bit on there. Phil Woody UK has just come in and said, Alex and Paul, dead set legends. Yeah, look at the state of Paul tonight. I mean, Alex is like 700 kilos, and he came on and went, oh, he looks soft, doesn't he, Alex? There, eh?
Absolutely. It's the lighting, man. Overhead lighting.
Absolutely. So for anybody who doesn't know, obviously, a member of the Fix crew from the original Fix crew is Paul Lynn, the White Orc, with us tonight. We've also got the mighty, the massive Alex Cadorette, who many of you will have seen over at King of the Table 4. And great to have you guys back on tonight, guys. I think we're also getting Mr. Jerry Cadorette should be joining us shortly as well. And Rawley Ray. Rawley Ray's been bungee jumping, amazingly enough, today. Yeah, as you don't. That. And the camera rolling on. You ever done any bungee jumping, Paul?
Never. I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of everything, Neil. I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of sharks. I'm claustrophobic. If you can be scared of it, I'm scared of it.
Do you have a lot of sharks where you live then?
No, not really. But anytime I go in the ocean, that's what's on my mind.
Are you freaked out in that? But do you have gators and stuff like that, or no gators?
No. I'm in Pennsylvania, so like when we go to the shore, we're at the shore now. We're in New Jersey, and my wife's got this app that has like the great white, like the tagged great white, so you can know like where they're at GPS. And she'll be like, "Oh, there's one just a mile over there." I'm like, "All right, I'm out of the water."
Shut the. That exists. There's an app that you know where.
There's an app. When they tag them, there's like a shark tracker app, and she thinks it's hilarious because I'll get right out of the water.
Unbelievable! I did not know that existed. So you full on can like clock where great whites are.
Yeah, it comes up and like it'll give you your location and it'll show where they're at. It's terrible.
Unbelievable.
The worst thing ever created.
Oh, mate. Because when you're in the sea, I've done a bit of surfing, and when you're in the sea, you can't help you playing the music in your head, aren't you?
Yeah. Jaws has destroyed an entire generation of people. I won't let my kid watch it.
we went to South Africa. I've been to Australia, South Africa. I've been diving with great whites quite a lot. And
oh my god!
Oh mate, in the cage. I've even been in the panorama cage. You know, like the cage where there's no side in one side. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah,
I couldn't imagine it. I would die. I would die of fear.
You know, we get where we did that. There was a very large shark came past. Most of them we've seen have not been that big, but I've seen on 2 trips. I've seen 2 very big ones. In South Africa, we got a very big one.
Yeah,
and Armwrestling, we got a really big one as well. And the guy that was with us in the panorama cage, when we went down he had like 3 dives, and when we went down, she was there for ages. This big one, she was super placid. Weirdly enough, really slow. The little ones were not placid. The little ones were friggin' really erratic, really fast. But the big ones, really placid. Anyway, he got us up on the lip of the cage, and once she came that close, you could literally hold onto the cage, and if you leaned out, you could literally pat her back.
Did you do that?
Yes.
You're crazy.
I waited till she'd like gone way like past. I don't know how long it was, but I would say 16, 17 foot shark. And as it came past, you could get on the side, and the guy was holding on to you, and he went like, right now, and you came up, boom, boom, and patted her. It felt like a friggin' like, but very rough.
Yeah.
Like skin was like sandpaper, like rough. It's a weird thing.
All I know is you can't arm wrestle if you're missing an arm. So
dude. Yeah. your heart's beating at you. I mean, it's
oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I didn't know there was an app that you could track.
There is an app.
You scared of great white sharks, mate? Would you go do a bit of surfing if you're in South Africa, or what do you reckon? Yeah, you up for it?
In South Africa?
Yeah. Would you be worried about sharks if you went surfing?
No, never think it before. But now, after this story, I will think twice.
Why would Alex be scared of a great white when he's larger than 90% of them? You don't have to be scared. Us regular people, we're just a fight.
You get to a certain size, like mind you, the like big seals and stuff, and Alex is probably like 8'9" tall, so similar size, friggin' elephant seal.
They don't want nothing to do with him.
Dude, that was a big. Did you catch King of the Table, Paul?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
What did you think, mate?
Oh my goodness. I mean, there's so much to talk about. Do you want to dive into it right now? I mean,
we'll get to it, but let's while we've got Alex on here and there's no distractions, I'm going to say that was probably for me, it was the most intense match of the night.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was a great match. I would like to see that match a number of times.
Me too.
It's one of those matches where I felt like, oh, this is the early stages of the match.
Yeah.
It was knife edge. It was really balanced on a knife edge,
I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear Alex's play-by-play on it. Obviously, I had Corey picked, and a lot of that is because that I've had the opportunity to train with Corey. I know where he's good, and I thought the stylistic matchup really favored Corey. And to see it unfold, it was very interesting. Obviously, Alex with the 6-0 win, but I think like what you're saying, Neil, that match was really close early on, and like it was just a good match. I mean, I think it's as good as a 6-0 sweep can look. It was
the first time through the night, and with all due respect to Irakli and Marcio, you couldn't help but be a little bit gutted on that. I've just had Ray in the chat, incidentally. See, he doesn't have the link. What the fluff is going on there? So wait a minute, Ray. I'm gonna resend it, mate. I'll tell you what. I'll resend it to you, and I'll resend it to Jerry. So just Jerry Cad, and right. I'm gonna resend it right now, Ray. That should be with you now, dude. But that first match. It was hard not to be disappointed just because of the little bobbles and the fouls and you were quite deflated. And a couple of them, it's on that edge between being something that you want to see called and being something that you don't.
Yeah.
If the guys are slipping out, one of the matches particularly, the match just went to a slip, but they gave a foul. It was like boom, hit, nothing happened, nothing of consequence, foul on Marcio. And I wouldn't care if it was on Marcio or Irakli. When there's nothing actually happened, the guys have just bumped slips.
Yeah.
I hate seeing that because it's like, oh shit. It's
when both people are going back and rising, when both and like on the slips, it was always that case. Marcio's posting, Irakli's a back pressure puller. They're both going there. We know it's going to slip. So if an elbow lifts and no one's going to be able to hang on anyway, yeah. I'm with you.
I was just.
But Irakli looked really good, and I was wrong on that one too.
Yeah, mate, I bet wrong completely. I mean, who did you have?
I did too.
Did you think Marcio or did you think Irakli?
You asking me?
Yeah. Who did you have?
Honestly, in all my interviews, I was predict that Marcio is favorite. I'm based about previous match of Marcio versus Sporon. For me, Marcio was very, able to go with some guy who have every very strong side pressure, and I would think that even Tobias' side pressure may be more than Irakli, and I would think that Marcio will be, the favorite. Yeah, I was really surprised, but honestly, I think that maybe Marcio was not like recovering for 100% for previous matches with Tobias. I think maybe he was not in the prime shape,
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? With anything like that, I always think to myself, well, if the guys had a match, I mean, to be honest, we're going to see it again because Corey's got a match with John in 2 weeks. Next weekend.
Next weekend.
Yeah, it's really shortly. I hope he recovering 100% because it's sad when he like don't use his 100 of power. Yeah,
it's always a ragged edge whenever you've got a match so close, and I wonder whether he stopped. I don't know how tweaked he is, but I wonder whether he stopped with that in mind because he figured, right.
I spoke to him.
Stop,
I spoke to Corey for about an hour after the match because I was worried about the same thing. I called him just to recap the match with Alex and ask about his injury. Like, hey, am I going to see you? What's going to happen? And he said that he felt a click, he felt a pop, or all that good stuff. But he went to the gym and tested it out. So I asked him, I said, like, the first question I asked, are you going to pull John? And he said, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pull out of that match. And then I asked him, we got down the road of like, how do you feel? And he said, well, obviously I'm not going to do any table time between now and then, but I went to the gym and all my gym lifts feel stable, and I don't think I have any major concerns, coming in. And it's like anybody who gets the opportunity to pull John, like, you're not going, I mean, you're going to pull John, right?
You really are. You are.
So he didn't make any excuses. He didn't make any excuses like no preemptive, like if I lose, it's because of this, nothing like that. He said, he feels good enough to go and he feels good enough to put his elbow down. So,
well, a couple of things that he'd said to me beforehand when I was speaking to Corey beforehand, and he asked me, he said, how do you see it? Who've you got? And I said, to be honest, I think Alex starts as a favourite and you've kind of got not a great deal to lose in some respects. I said, and if there's any pressure, I think that probably goes a bit more onto Alex because this is almost like your coming out party. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he said, well, one of the biggest aspirations I've got here is to come and to go home with everybody knowing that I am on that level.
Yeah.
That I'm in the hunt. I'm there or thereabouts. And that, I think he definitely did that. And
that's what I tried to reiterate to him, Neil. Like I was like, I asked flat, I was like, hey, where's your head at? You know what I mean? You lost the match, you lost all of the matches. But I think, he didn't seem, there was no waiver in him on that aspect. Obviously, anytime you lose, you got a lot to reflect on, say, man, I could have done this, could have done that. But I tried to reiterate exactly that. I think everybody who truly follows arm wrestling and understands arm wrestling knows now that you can gain that legitimacy even in a loss like that. And I think he did that. And again, I genuinely think he had a chance to win the match. And I had him picked, not taking anything away from Alex, just stylistically and off of what I knew. And I thought the match delivered big time.
Oh my God.
I actually absolutely agree. Huge respect for Corey. And guys, for example, before the match, like everyone says that probably when Corey pulled with Gracie was like in the not best shape. That's why it happens. With Ryan SP on left-handed match, because Corey also won with Ryan SP left-handed vendetta. Guys also says something like that. And now this day, Corey just showed that he's exactly on that level. Like he's like huge potential, and now he's already like a superpower house. And he just one of the best hookers in the future. He already in the high level, and with still high potential. So he's awesome. He like showed himself now. Everyone knows now who is Corey West.
Right.
Well, I said, hey, Rolly, how are you doing, brother?
Hey guys.
Hey.
We're just talking about, I don't know whether you'd seen any of the, Jerry, if you're watching as well, mate, check your email now. It's definitely
Neil's
there.
been sending me like 10 different links that don't work. So.
Well, it was because I went in to the sent messages and I picked the wrong one by accident. It just picked it up. But I had actually sent the first one, so I don't know what had happened there. You were on the email for the one that got to these lads, so I don't know what the frig's gone on there. It may be firewalled it or whatever. But we're just talking about Corey and Alex's match. And I actually announced Alex at the start, Corey at the start, as I said, the unhookable, because he said, look, anybody who hooks with me is in deep. And I said, we'd been speaking before. I said, well, obviously the situation with Todd. And he said, I'd like to redo that on the inside. He said he feels like his hook's rock solid. The funny thing is, he's almost on top rollable in some respects. And we said that might do it. It's him. It's him or
that's it, Neil. And when I look at Corey, that was my basis. I said, okay, we have like a pure top roller who's at the highest level of top rolling, and then we have a guy in Corey who is probably the hardest dude to top roll. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't even say that. I feel like Corey can vastly improve his actual hook. It's just the inability to top roll him is so overwhelming. So to see Alex actually be able to fold his wrist back was super impressive on my part, just from knowing and knowing that quantity. It was super impressive to see his wrist go back later.
Just ridiculous. I mean, like you say, he's made a name for being a guy that it's hard to do that to. And obviously his training with Mike has helped there. Just while we're on it, guys, welcome into the show now. We've also got Jerry Cadorette. Jerry, can you hear us, mate? And he's frozen up immediately. Look at that, the power of the fix, ladies and gentlemen, on a Sunday night. But what you can see of Jerry there, dude's looking a little carved up, isn't he? Hey? He's stopped that and freeze framed it on his traps. Hey, Jerry, turn your phone on its side, mate. Oh, there you go. Never. Look at you, Cadorette, you fluff. Look at the fucking stick. Are you all right with the suntan there, Jerry? You all right, mate?
Yeah, working on it.
Jesus, you what? Where is the beach?
That's it. On the street.
Mate, you look like you've been let out in the sun a bit there, love. You do. Tremendous. Let me while Jerry gets that sorted out, I'm just going to knock over a couple of these super chats that we've had in, guys. I like how you've coordinated there, Jerry, with the vest and the hair. Lovely.
Yeah.
That's what the kind of style we expect on this show. I don't know whether you know, this is the show where we first talked about Ray's amazing belt and shirt combo. Unfortunately, he didn't take it to King of the Table 4. It's a goddamn shame. Have you seen that shirt and belt combo that he wears, Jerry?
Yeah.
Quite a number, isn't it? About that. I mean, I haven't seen many.
I hate you so much, Neil. It's like
It was a strong shirt that you wore out there, though, Ray. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty good, mate. Let's have a look at some of these super chats. So, Jujamugu with a flying super chat. He's put, with a ponytail, Cadorette looks like an actor from the show Vikings. Without it, it looks like a scary bouncer from a strip club in Harlem. Welcome to the fix, Alex. This is the kind of people we're going to hear. Jujamugu coming firing in with that one. Bloody good start. That's our level. That's where we get to, and there'll be many more like that. Probably not get many aimed at Ryan tonight, though, with him not being on. Which usually a lot of our stuff that comes on that gets a bit raw tends to be aimed at Ryan. He does take a lot of stick on here. As well, Mr. Bowen. Not tonight. Another one from Jujamugu. He's put, Coach Ray, take a hint. Neil didn't want you on. No, that was a genuine mistake, Rolly. It really was. Big Grove Goats with a super chat. What's everyone's pick? Brzenk or Corey West? And I'm going to start with Jerry Cadorette.
Well, I think that Corey's stronger, but did Corey recover from being injured against Alex, right? I mean, that's got to weigh into it, because where Corey just went against him and looked like he got hurt a little bit. If Corey's 100%, I think he's going to be a lot for John to handle. I think Corey takes the first match, but I think John, as smart as he is going to know to go, attack the outside of Corey's hand and try to take his wrist. So if John is capable of it, then I'm going to go Corey wins the first match, and then John wears him out the second match. But I think Corey is I have a lot of faith in Corey, and I think that down the road, Corey's going to be unstoppable. I mean, if he sticks with it, he just has that raw power. He's just so strong. but John's just so smart. So, like when Corey faced Todd Hutchins, Corey got him the first match, and then Todd adjusted, and Todd ended up winning 3-1, right? So, if there's a lot of ifs, right? So, I mean, Corey has to be healed and recovered from his match against Alex, where he looked like he got hurt, and then provided he's good, then he's stronger than John. So he's going to take the first match, but is he capable of winning the second one? If he wins the second one, it's Corey sweeps 3-0. But if John stops him on that second one, John's going to win 3-1.
There you have it, guys. That's the prediction of Jerry. And have you ever pulled with Corey yet, mate? Have you actually faced him yourself?
Yeah, not in a match though, just for fun.
Yeah, just playing around. Nice.
Yeah.
Certainly, like you say, he's got unbelievable potential. Huge. Just structurally, he's a very, very thick set lad, and he extraordinarily thick set lad. Massive potential, really has. So, Rolly Ray, on the block, son. Where are you going? Brzenk?
You never go against the GOAT, You have to bet on John. You have to bet on John. I love Corey. I think he is the future, like Jerry said. He will be super dominant. And if he wins, awesome. If he loses, that's a great lesson. Mm-hmm. He's not coming in fresh. He just had a really tough opponent in Alex. It's very hard to recover from something like that. How injured he is, we don't know. But I'm still going to go with John. If Corey wins, I will not be surprised, but I think John has the edge,
Alex Cadorette, who have you got?
For me, it will be cool if it will be interesting match. I agree with the guys that Corey is absolutely amazing, and he has a bright future. And it will be cool if he will be on the setup like comfortable, because he's very cool in his movement, like first round with Todd Hutchins. And of course, John is a professor of wrestling. He knows it, and he will do everything to not will be able do it by Corey. So he will do something with that. And actually, there's even if first round by Corey by first spin, the second will be very important. Yeah, and if Corey won the second, I believe he can win even third one. It will be 3-0, or it will be like 3-2, like war. If it will be the day when Corey is absolutely fresh, cool, and very comfortable on the setup. Because with John, it's needed. John will feel every hand, and he knows what to do. So I think the power, like the horsepower on the Corey side, but the experience and like table IQ, it's on the John side. So my prediction, it can be like equal match until round 2, and I put like John in the favorite because of his experience, But my expectations, that's what I see. I want to see interesting match, like that every round will be the fight. So that's what I want to see.
Here's a question for Paul. First, before I preempt anything, and then I will post preempt it. But let's first of all hear from Paul, because I'm very interested. What reason I've left you to last, Paul, is because I know you've probably got the most extensive experience with Corey in terms of from a training perspective, and clearly you've just pulled John yourself. So how do you see it, mate?
So along the lines of what Jerry's saying, I think the biggest factor in this match is going to be Corey's pinning power. So I don't think that John can cleanly top roll Corey. That being said, I think John's pronation is his biggest asset in stopping the hook match. I think that if Corey fires off on the go, like he did against Krasny, it's going to come down to that millimeter line at the pin pad if John stops it, or if Corey has enough to finish. Because the toughest thing with John is to finish through his pronation when he kicks his wrist, when he kicks his fingers down and his wrist up. It's the same thing we saw with Zurab, everybody. He's got so much down pressure and pronation. If Corey can't pin through that early, I think the match goes John's way. So John allows so much in the center that I don't see John actively top rolling Corey. if he does top roll him, it'll be late through adjustments. I think that the biggest factor is going to be, number one, Corey's confidence level coming off the match. And then in that confidence level in relationship to pulling the goat too, because that's a mental thing for sure. And I've talked to Corey and I just try and, you know, I love both of these guys. I think they're great human beings. They're like friends of mine. But I just told Corey, like, come in and just treat it like any other arm wrestling match and don't get enamored with who John is and do your best to pin through it, you know. But I think that there could be a factor of like, you know, hey, I'm playing one-on-one with Michael Jordan right now. I think that could play into it. And I think Corey's sheer like pinning power. And I think that pinning power inside was probably the factor that allowed Todd to get the win against Corey. So I think Corey will control center. I think it'll come down to Kent. Does he have that downward pinning power? And then is John's pronator just too much?
So I'd like to hear all your opinions on this as well. And just to be clear, a lot of these assumptions are, as Jerry mentioned, I think it's a huge factor if Corey is banged up. If he's tweaked and banged up, it's going to get exposed really early, I believe, because I do believe that John will have enough top-end strength in the key areas, namely the hand and wrist, to make Corey work for the win. So if there's any real damage there from the Alex match, I think it will get shown up quite easily, because if you look at the guys where Corey's been able to win very impressively, i.e. with someone like Krasimir, who was looking to utilize the inside techniques, the hook, the press, he's nowhere near the size and strength of hand that John has. One of John's biggest assets is that massive hand. He's got a very, very strong, very dominant hand. But what I wanted to sort of get some insight on, and again, we'll start with Jerry, was around the endurance side of things, because you've been in some absolute friggin' screamers with John, mate. I mean, the one in the UAL in Venice Beach was stupid.
Yeah.
Do you think that we're going to see, we could see that again from John, where he just hangs out there? Because we know from what we've just seen with Corey and Alex that gas tank might be a factor, particularly if that's hitting in the same areas that he's just exhausted or damaged when he pulled Alex.
I'm sure that John's gas tank isn't what it used to be, but I think that Corey's gas tank is not as good as John's, right? I mean, it's tough when you're carrying around 420 pounds. You carry around 420 pounds, you're going to run out of gas quicker, right? And I think John knows how to expose it. John's going to know what to go after. And the question is, can John get to that position and wear Corey out? Because if John gets him there, John's going to go and try to wear him out, bleed him, and make sure that he goes, you know, and make sure that Corey runs out of gas. And that's the question. Can John get in that position? If he does, John's gas tank, I believe, will be bigger than Corey's. So, and that's where I said that it'll come into the fact that John beats him on smart. John can't beat him on strength. He has to beat him on smart and technique.
Do you think John's got any strength advantage in any area, mate? Do you think the hand and wrist is stronger with John?
I think John's got a stronger hand than Corey, but I think that Corey is just freakishly strong. I mean, he's like country strong. And I was able to pull Corey in the very beginning of when Corey was coming out, and I knew then that there was a lot of talent there, just raw talent. You know, that he brings in so much natural ability that it's such light years ahead of someone else that comes in that could be just a weight room strong, right? Corey has that tendon strength and that arm strength and that the huge feats of strength in the gym that he's now transitioning them into learning how to use all those strengths and apply them in arm wrestling. The problem is he just hasn't been at it long enough to be able to adapt and work them all together and then put together in his head. If someone does something, how does he adjust? Corey just comes back and tries harder at the same thing that he just did, rather than adjust what he should be doing.
Yeah. So same question really to Alex. I mean, what I would say there, mate, were you aware that there was a big fade going on in Corey as you pulled? Because it was sort of like you got no access really to his hand and wrist in that first start. But after like the third start, you got him sort of busted out like this. You were you didn't have your hand, but you definitely got much more access to him. And then after that round, you pretty much had your way and you could really find his hand and wrist. Were you were you changing angles a great deal? Or were you just feeling that there was a fade and in his power, in his ability to defend the hand and wrist?
Guys, in our match, it was very important the setup. Like the setup, the Corey in the first round, he did very good actually. He goes by shoulder and like block the possibility to go to the back pressure, and like he goes very good in the grip. So he was perfect with that. It was honestly very hard to like just to throw him, and he was honestly very, very powerful on the grip. Yeah, it was really a surprise for me. In the second round, like I find the way to be more effective with top roll and use more power of top roll. Also, I think that's like the size of the hands matters in that match. I think with somebody with a little bit smaller,
like Ray.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Somebody like Ray will not like.
Alex, you don't want me to Photoshop our pictures, okay?
you remember the difference on the side. Somebody do that, so yeah, that's for that. And with John, like you said, Neil, John has actually big hand. Yeah. Big hand. Yeah, so it's very, very important. I think and I believe that it will be about setup. If Corey will go in maximum comfortable setup, it will be going by the flash pin to do in his most powerful side, and also in the defense he will be going by chest to make impossible to do something with his wrist and his arm, and also block the position of defense of John. It will be big plus for Corey. He needs to understand that John know this, and John will be trying to do like everything to avoid the most powerful weapon of Corey. And if Corey will control this, I believe he has a very, very good chances. And maybe it will be like the same way 1 by 1. If he will be able to control. But if he will be not enough in the wrist and also in the center position, and John will be fine in the way, because John able to find every weaknesses, and he know exactly now what to do with Corey. Corey actually also know what to do with John, but it will be about confidence on the table, confidence on the setup. So my advice for Corey, because I believe he has like bright future. Yeah, huge respect for him. Huge respect also for John. We know John level. Joe, it's a gold. Everyone wants to go to level of the John, and like absolutely understand the Corey. If you have possibility to go with John, just take this possibility. Don't think what will be. Just want to go and check yourself how it will be. So my advice for Corey is to be much as possible confident on the setup and go in the comfortable grip and use fastly his main weapon. And in that case, I think Corey has a good chances, because if you give too much possibilities to John, it will be hard.
How strong did the hook feel, mate? I mean, let's be honest, you've pulled some frigging beasts when you've been pulling over in the top 8. You faced a lot of the top Eastern European lads.
Yeah.
In terms of what you're used to feeling, how strong did that hook feel?
In the first round, if you remember, we got the fall, and I'm going to the hook with Corey. And after that, after this first fall, I think, no, it's not a good idea to go into the hook, even if I go into the pin, but with the huge elbow foul.
So on the first start, you were going more across him. You hit much more. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to compare with Krasi, for example, with my memories when I was have arm fight with Krasi, so the arm fight between Corey and Krasi, it's absolutely fair answer. Where's the Corey? Comparable, for example, for good Krasi's hook, which well-known among the European arm wrestlers. Because remember that Krasi, it's a guy who won in the hook with Levan Saginashvili, with Vitaly, and with me. That's the guy who also very talented by the find the possibility to not to lose if he not able to pin somebody. And yeah, that's the like level of hook of Corey, and the level of his hand to compare for other guys. He's actually massive, big, not big thumbs, but you know, for example, the size of the hand is thick and very big. Yeah,
very
so
thick,
very powerful. At the beginning, you remember the moment when Levan and me stays, and Levan shake the hand for the Corey and says, "Oh, it's almost like mine," and we compare the fist of everyone. Mm-hmm. And he says to me, "Oh, you need to be careful with this guy."
he really is an absolute unit, isn't he? He's really, you know, thick as hell. It's
and honestly, we measure the wrist of the Levan, me, and Corey. It was half a centimeter difference between a wrist of Levan and Corey. So it's a huge wrist. It's almost the biggest wrist. Yeah. No, that's the answer.
It really is stupid. I mean, Ray, do you think that? I mean, you said never bet against the GOAT. And I want to ask you the same question as Paul, really, on this, because Paul, you've recently been there. Do you think we're going to see John actually chase him in the hook as well? Do you think he's going to put him in the hook?
Oh, yeah.
Because of what happened with Todd?
Oh, John is going to go there. Maybe not straight from the start, maybe straight from his... He cares so little, to be honest. He cares so absolutely little. Yeah, he's looking for that challenge. If he gets beat, I think he lights a flame up his ass. He doesn't care. He really doesn't care. Yeah,
which is cool as hell in so many ways, isn't it? Really
yeah. Because I when we were in East versus West 3, I said like, will you pull Zurab and hook? He's like, maybe not straight ahead. Most likely straight ahead. I don't know.
It is great that he can sort of, and he probably does that because he knows how effective he is and how many options he has.
Yeah.
That he's also world class in. It's not like he's got one lane that he's world class. He's got like 3 or 4 lanes that he's world class in. He can, you know, if you do bust his wrist and hand, can he transition there to the press? Absolutely, he can. We've seen him do it many times. You know, he's got all angles covered. He really has. You know, Paul, what do you think, mate? Do you expect to see John chase him down and hook?
John's going to let him do whatever he wants with the setup. I don't see John preventing anything. I think he's shown with pretty much all of his most recent opponents that he'll let you go where you want to go. Mm-hmm. The big thing that separates John from Krasi in a hook is that Krasi's going there like shoulder committed. John will commit his shoulder and bring his elbow back. And I'm telling the pronation that John has from a supinated position with a deep cup. We think pronation top roll, we think out here. John's pronation is so effective when he goes under and sets his elbow back.
He uses the wrist to create it. Uses the wrist to create it.
So we saw Corey just go right through Krasi. A lot of that had to do with Krasi coming there with him and there was no pronation defense. I think we see John be very passive with this in the setup, and we see John go under, but we see John's elbow and back pressure. His static back pressure and lat tuck will change everything. If John's elbow gets to the back of the pad before Corey can pin, that's where we'll see the stop. And to what Jerry said, his gas tank is definitely better. I mean, that's what he has. His pronator doesn't die at all. It's just static. It's like hydraulic. It's like the more you pump against it, the more you wear your wrist out. And if we get to a scenario where in round 1, John stops that, then I think we see that pronator just take over completely. But there is a strong possibility that if Corey fires off the same way Krasi does, John doesn't get that lat tuck and everything engaged, that we could see flash pins. So I think it's razor tight. I mean, I think it's 3-1 or sweep either way. But I think, I mean, when you look at like Zurab, And like what Ray's talking about, like, yeah, most likely I'll go there first round. And he did. He let Zurab pretty much take everything off the go. And then what do we see? We see John's pronator take over and Zurab press through it because John didn't know the rule, you know? And then the frustration ensued because of the rule. How am I getting pinned like this, you know? But once John set in, those stops came earlier, you know? And it's all that pronator. He let him have it and then took it back. So I really think it's you know, how well is Corey's wrist recovered? How well, because Corey's hand is very strong as far as containment in his fingers and as far as straight wrist flexion. I don't know if Corey has that wrist to wrist pronator that can help him finish through John's upward pronation. That to me, I think is the biggest factor. I can't wait to see it. I'm gonna have front row seats, so I'm excited.
As Jerry said, I really hope that Corey at least can come in fit and ready to go. Are you going to speak to him? You're going to ring him up this week and have a word? I might do the same, actually, just find out where he's at. Because that's critical. Because as Alex said, you know, obviously, if there is a weakness, it's going to get found out. You know,
he's not, I mean, Corey's not making any no. He's not making any excuses from my conversations with him. And I think he might be one of those old school meathead type guys who's just going to say, I'm good. There could be that factor too. But I didn't, from talking to him, I didn't get the feel that he is concerned about structural injuries. So I think he's going to come in, and I think he feels fit enough to arm wrestle for sure.
Cannot wait. Massive matchup on a great card that's coming up there. Let's knock over some of these super chats. Marcus Thompson, mate. Massive super chat. Thanks, brother. He's put, Alex, great win at King of the Table 4. Corey gave you a great showing. Still looking forward to Jerry getting back on the table and kicking some ass. Exciting times, boys. Also prayers to James and his family. Yeah, I'm going to come to that, brother. Thank you very much, Marcus. Really appreciate your support as always, mate. Thank you so much. So, Henry Bowers-Lawl's coming with a super chat. But Corey made some big mistakes versus Alex, holding on outside the strap again and again, especially in the bad positions. It was frustrating me. Now, let's just pick up on that with Alex while we've got you, mate. Were you very aware of that? Were there opportunities to finish in those matches and you didn't take them and hung out there a little longer to try and exhaust, or were you balls to the wall trying to finish it?
Like I said, like after first round, yeah, I understand that. For example, if you feel confident, yeah, you know what I mean. Yep. You can do something more than like flash pin or something. And I actually don't have a plan to flash pin even in the round 3. I think it's I feel that something happened, and in the round number 3, Corey was not like in the round number 2 or number 1. That's why I'm a little bit afraid. If you ask me, for example, about myself, if I will be able to do the same after 1 week, like I was in the King of the Table, I will tell no. I maybe needs 2 weeks from today. Yeah. And I know that for Corey it was also a tough match, you know. And, like I said at the beginning, he was really good on the setup, and in the round number 2, he a little bit lose some confidence. Yeah. Honestly, I believe it was a small mistake to trying to hold me without the strap by fingers, you know, because it looks like, okay, maybe I will come back him, but you know, guys, how it works. And with John, you know, what can be, if John also find the key, and it will be like, looks like, oh, it's hard for John, but it will be not. You need to do something very special to John, make some very tough pressure on his arm, on his wrist, and be in the better position. It's very important with John to be in a better position. And John now to do. Yeah. John now will be the fresh, so he now on the good shape. And about Corey, I believe that it will be very about how he feel in the day of the match. If he's okay, he now go into the gym, check everything is cool, and he confident. It also helps him by the mindset, and also on the setup. He will be okay. I know that today I will be fight. I will do everything what can I do, and I don't care about the result. This is a good setup, and it's a good mind setup before the match. If he will be find that something with the fingers or with the wrist, it will be sitting in his mind, and he will be thinking about it too much before the grip, and it can be the minus of that day. But I really believe that if everything is okay and he is feel good, it can be very good and interesting match.
Yeah, bloody interesting one. So Ryan's Exposed Cables just come in with a super chat. He's put, I didn't know Magic Jerry works part-time with the Chippendales. You're getting some love here, Jerry. But will we ever see a 400-pound Jerry take down the Georgian? And by that, I think he's meaning the other one, Levan. He's put, slide a 5 in G-string, USA. Dude, if you come in a G-string, Jerry, I don't know. That might even be up there with when Ray did the Forest shoot. It's that kind of level.
I don't know if I'm ready for a G-string yet.
Yeah, I don't know the world is ready for you in it. Can you imagine a matching orange G-string, Jerry, eh?
Yeah, right.
Lovely dance.
I might have it on right now. You never know, Neil.
You never know, Jerry. You can tell you've been to the beach, lad.
You know that Borat swimsuit? Underpants up to...
The mankini.
Yeah.
Hair away.
Silky Wilkie has just come in with a super chat. But all you Easterners play too rough. Each one of you injured the Western boys. Kidding aside, it was a great show. So, to be fair, everybody got injured.
That's what happened.
It was.
Yep.
I mean, it was remarkable, wasn't it? I don't know how bad Marcio is, but he's obviously bad enough to pull out of the East versus West. Haven't spoke to Marcio yet, but I know he said he was hurt in the first hit of the first round.
Yeah.
Obviously, Corey we've spoken about, and Devon. I mean, I was very up close and personal to how bad that was knackered. I mean, the fact that that Devon carried on is remarkable. I'm perfectly honest. Genuinely remarkable. I'm amazed he did. Actually, I'm not amazed he did. That's bullshit. That's exactly what I expect from Devon. He's that kind of dude, but most people wouldn't have done, knowing they'd done the damage that he knew he'd done. So
imagine if Devon would just stop. First match ended in 4, 3, and
it's never happened. It's impossible. He never stopped.
No, he would break his arm.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. About it. Him and Michael, when they say they're gonna, when Michael said the night before he pulled Wagner, knowing that his arm was already damaged, I'm going there bone to bone, hard as I possibly can, and one or two things is going to happen. Either my arm's going to snap, or I'm going to beat him and take his soul. And I guess we find out tomorrow. The dude said that to me the night before, and he did exactly that. And option 1 was exactly what happened, But yeah, not a backward step. And the same with Devon. Ridiculous. So Fat Legless Birds come in with a super chat. He's put, Alex went from I will raid and pillage your village to I will raid and pillage your mum with one. Very impressive. It is a good look, Alex.
Good.
Playing games with that, son. Absolute quality. A lot of love for Alex Cadorette tonight. Juji Mugu with a super chat. But Neil, the chat wants to know what's up about Bowen. Oh, don't worry about it, mate. Just a couple of differences, opinions on things. That's between me and the mighty Ryan. So Scampy, Jerry and Alex.
God, I'm missing so much.
No, I think you know. Ray. I think you know.
Okay, cool. Maybe I know. Yeah.
You probably know because a lot of the stuff that went on the chat. Jerry versus Alex thoughts. Well, that's escalated quickly. You never do know down the chip. Would you guys like to pull each other, Jerry and Alex?
Absolutely, yes.
I was going to say I think it'd be a good matchup. I think I got called to do that match with Alex, but it was with only like 4 or 5 weeks notice. And I didn't feel like I could bring the best version of Jerry to the table. And I was looking to go against either Gennady or Hermes at the time, but I was super excited to take that match with Alex. And it was tough for me to say that I don't know if I'd be ready, but I wouldn't be fair if I went in and then I said, oh, I'm only at 70%. And then it looked like I was reaching for an excuse if I didn't win. Regardless of when I saw his match with Dave, I knew he was better than that match played out. I mean, you look at the guy he looks like the guy that comes out of a Chippendales magazine, right? He looks like the guy that if you catch him with your girl, you just say, "Let me know when you're done," right? you say like, "Yeah, fucking, did you need a drink?" Right? Whatever. But so I would love to go against that match, right? So let me get through beating Gennady first, and then we'll.
Huge match right there. I mean, we've spoken about it before for Arm Wars. I've spoken to Alex about it before for Arm Wars as well. It's a match that I'd love for Arm Wars, yourself and Alex. I think it's a great match. You've got another one coming, obviously, in Gennady, and we'll definitely touch base on that shortly as well.
Jerry, there's a real question. It's who do you think is a better top roller, Alex or Chance?
Yeah. I think they're probably close, right? Like, I mean,
super close.
Chance is focusing on people that are like 200 pounds now. He had to go down to elementary school to stop fights. He said he can't fight people his own weight class, so he's fucking finding 200 pounders to go against.
What's the money that Chance pops up in the chat any minute? I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Huge chance. I couldn't let this chance slip by. So
I knew you wouldn't, Ray. God bless you. God bless you for that.
When you get 3 losses in a row, he had to fucking change what he was doing and then say, all right, you know what it is? It's the level of the opponent. Let me just go down. He's picking on the elementary school kids at recess.
Oh, mate, I know Chance is going to pop up in there in a minute. So Abdul Rahman Kabli with a super chat. Mate, thanks for the super chat. He's put, good show, Neil. You were the star of the show at King of the Table 4. Don't know about that. Question to Alex. What matches do you have planned for the future, Alex? What's in your immediate line of sights? What's in the crosshairs, brother?
Like I said already a lot of times, that the first, it's Dave, because of like our result of the match. Yeah. He sent me to the primary school, and now after that, I come back to the level of motivation, like the same after the lose with the Krasi. Yeah. So now I'm trained like it should be, more properly, and come back to that, and probably it will be my good shape in the nearest months. And I was really sad when Dave lost to Gennady, because huge respect for Gennady. He's so great arm wrestler, but my expectations what it should be like 3 flash pins with the Dave, and he was guessed out on the setup. He was tell me after that I speak what happens. Yeah, he gives too much on the setup. He was too confident. Okay, I feel second, I feel with third, and after that it will be something. He pump it up for the forearm, and after that he just was not able to use his real power. He stuck on some position, and I think and I believe that day was just bad day for Dave. But with huge respect for Gennady. Yeah, Gennady finds a way and makes something impossible. Who never, nobody expected that from Gennady.
No.
But when we said about whom I want to pull now, with Gennady or Hermes or Dave, so for me, Dave, it will be the good answer to compare my level that day, for example, today or in 2 months. Yeah, that's why it's a priority. If you will be analyzing the rankings, so number 1 is Levan. For Levan, honestly, you need to have 1 year of special good preparation to go to that level, because everyone now trying to find the opponent for Levan. But remember, guys, Levan, to be Levan of nowadays, spend 13 years. I remember when he pulled on Europeans in the Poland in category 110 kilos, and the guy from the Poland, actually, Jan Jolczynski, pulled with him on the left and won.
I remember that also.
Yeah. So we need to respect the huge work which Levan did to be Levan Hawk of Georgia nowadays. And if somebody says it's impossible, I'm not absolutely agree. I think if somebody who has a talent, passion in the heart, and good mindset, and train properly and very hard, it's really possible. But it takes the time. You need to be patient and work, and it takes the time. So for me, the good opponent now, I think it's Dave, and after that, everybody from the top 5 and everybody from top 10.
Jerry Cadorette in Arm Wars.
Absolutely, yes. You asking me already, and I say that Jerry is interesting and awesome arm wrestler, and in arm war style of organization an event, I think it will be very interesting match.
That's a film we want. Let's go. Be like a Rolly Ray match.
Out of that.
Like a Rolly Ray Ironhouse match. It's the kind of one. And talking to Rolly Ray, lovely super chat just come in, very accurate. It's the kind of guys we get on here, Jerry. Penguin Turdsy with the super chat, one of the favourite names in all the super chatters in the world. And he's put Ray quietly browsing Twitter for the Brassers login.
I just want to find a voucher, you know.
It's fake taxi.
Fake
hostel. That's what Ray's on.
fake hospital.
Yeah.
Fake lawyer.
Anything fake. So here we go. Thomas Quevedo with the super chat. What do you think, Alex, about Hermes versus Chafee?
Oh, guys. Okay, I need to tell you something about before my answer. Everyone asked me a lot, basically by the hour training in the Belgium. Okay, so guys, now attention. It was the training when we train on equipment, make a sparring, and that day for Evgeny was absolutely on off season. He like to take a rest. Me, I was on the hard training preparation, like before the match we scored. So it means yesterday I'm doing very hard training. Today I'm going to train with the staff and a little bit sparring. And I never even trying to do something like we stand in some position, but it was not that day. And Hermes was very good. That day he was resting. He was in normal shape. So yeah, that day to compare our level, I think that day Hermes was the strongest. Me and Evgeny maybe comparable, but remember that Evgeny was on the off, like off, resting, do nothing, like not train hard, but just in the rest process. So I think honestly, guys, it's not the good way to compare, for example, Evgeny level and the Hermes level by that day.
Alex, stop with excuses. Everyone here and everyone watching knows that there's nothing more serious than practice.
It's not excuses, Ray. It's not excuses.
You're just telling excuses. Hermes went up to #2 spot without winning a match. That's amazing. That's how you do it. Ask Chad Shaw.
Okay, you find our secret. We did it specially to put Hermes on #2.
It's just like everyone just I saw what you're talking about. I'm like, and everyone's like putting Hermes. I'm like, yeah, I think he's awesome. I'm like, you know, but I'm like, how did he skip forward few of the guys? He's like, he's the next in line, or he has the potential to beat. I'm like, maybe, but not from what we have seen. You know what I mean? You know, I would still love to see that match. But if you would ask Hermes would say like, I don't know. You know? Everyone would be like,
my answer, it's really interesting match. And to be confident, it should be like Dave needs to be in his very good shape, and also Hermes needs to be in very good shape.
Yeah. It's
so
like,
yeah.
The problem for me is always why people keep putting everyone ahead from practices. Practices mean absolutely zero thing. You either win on table in a competition or you don't, because your practice pulling it's non-existent. It's for practice, it's for training. Some will come with ego, some will put the ego aside. You know, you get what you want out of the practice to win on table. And
that's why you are expert, Ray. That's why, because you understand this. And you know, some guys, they put their ego away, like Devon. Huge respect for him, because when he go to practice, he will check everything. All possible angles, everything. He help you to train properly and ask you to do something. And you know, he don't care that everyone in YouTube will be say, "Oh, that guy is stronger than Devon." No, guys, no way. It's just a cool training with Devon of somebody. It's not like the level. The level is on competition. That day, guys check the level. On the trainings, guys train. that's the easiest way to understand.
Some guys come to practices to beat some other guys, and some guys come in really tired. Some guys come in out of shape. Some guys come in a great shape. You know, the only thing
Like when that time when Jerry and Chance were at practice and it meant more.
It meant absolutely everything. You shut up, Neil. Okay, that's the only practice we're looking at. That's the only rankings we're going by. So,
Yeah. Okay.
and the idea is you as an athlete, and longer you've been doing this, more you understand. You're like, okay, maybe he felt he was tired, or I was tired. You know, you don't take those things in account because they will mess with your mind. That's the problem. People will go to practices. They will come to practice like here, and they will practice with me, and I will let them do everything. Comes competition time, they lose in half a second, and they're like, how did that happen? So it happens everywhere on every practice. It's the baggage you take and the baggage everyone else is taking. When everyone else, like if you have a bunch of guys that everyone is preparing the same, they have the same competition, and you know the schedule, everything else, then you can make, if I start beating everyone constantly, most likely I'm getting better. But if it just happens by chance.
In the style that I pull, and probably a little bit true, I would think for Jerry as well, truth be known, in my sort of preferred actual tournament style, you can't practice. It's not possible, because if you did, you'd get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Somebody would be like, Dick Neil, you can't, what are you
do? Yeah.
So,
Jerry is a press is an offensive move. It doesn't have defense. If you let too much go, you're in a tight situation where you have to work out. But if he just keeps going and punching down, there's not a lot of practicing going around, you know? So same as the speed guys like me.
Practice table.
There.
Yeah, so exactly the same. I mean, I've pulled Jerry a number of times on a practice table. I've pulled Jerry in for real. Very different.
It's such a great fundamental lesson, though.
Very different.
You know, it's such a great fundamental lesson to like the newer pullers and the guys who are watching. Like, if you're on a like Devon, for example, like Alex said, if you've ever had the opportunity to practice pool with Devon and set up with him in a practice pool, and then you go ahead and watch Devon set up against Levan, just compare that. You know, just take a look at what he's doing in the setup against Levan, all 6 rounds, and then think about how he sets up in practice. When you get to a certain point, depending on the practice that you're at, and you're trying to get the most for yourself as a puller, you're probably going to take the buckle. You're probably going to let the person be above you. You're probably going to let the person take you to the B side because you need a workout. And just because you might be getting pinned later on in practice, or, you know, there's so many things. When you go to practice as a puller to get better, you should, in theory, check your ego, because you need that workout, the same workout you need at the gym. If you're doing your last rep and you're not failing, you're not gaining. So I want to go to practice and I want to be pinned, and I want to king of the table until I get pinned, depending on who I'm working with. And I think a lot of times people don't look at that. The worst thing
in practices is when you go to the practice and you beat everyone. And it's like there's nothing, you give too much and they cannot take. That's the worst thing as an arm wrestler, because you will have like, I'm just so good, you know, and it's a pitfall, and it's an ego and everything else. And you know, the problem is always people who really don't do arm wrestling. They only see it like this on a video, and they're like, okay, I guess that's it, you know, I guess that's the whole story. And it's not the whole story, not even a little. It's so, like, I was reading the comments after the event. I'm like, what the hell happened? Did I miss some competition you guys are talking about? You know, or even the same thing, like Vitaly pulled Dmitry Silayev. He lost 3 times. I would rank, I couldn't rank Dmitry lower than Vitaly. Doesn't matter where they are, but I cannot, because he beat him 3 times. It doesn't matter how kind of shape you. That shows and tells the present moment in arm wrestling. It doesn't show my reality, your reality. It shows what it is. That's what happened. Vitaly needs to come back and win to gain that position back. So when there's so many things where even Devon, what happened if Devon wouldn't get injured, but he did? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I wouldn't agree with there 100% is that I think the reason that the ranking sucks, I mean, we don't want to get down the ranking rabbit hole. That's a horrible place to go.
No, it's impossible.
About tonight. But if you were doing any ranking, it's got to be controlled circumstances. You've got to have a controlled environment. And whenever you've got a situation where guys meet and it's not in a super match, one-on-one, the ranking. You can't have multiple people in a thing and in arm wrestling. And it's like, if a load of UFC,
I can agree to that. I can agree to that.
Or each other, and one of them's still left standing. He's the best. No,
Yeah.
he just didn't get cracked as hard as you know. You don't know. You might think you're not taking shots. You are, and styles make matches. So the whole
maybe we need tournament rankings, and we need super match rankings.
Yes, but they need to be separate in that respect because you've got tournament pullers.
But then you have to talk about the rules. You know, where
back onto what we're saying
so many
earlier, it was going down that hole, right?
Yeah.
Back on the practice thing. Can you imagine if Levan showed up and at a practice and went for it? What a bag!
How many times do we see Levan? How many times do we see Levan in practice being so far under in the strap and being so exposed and never initiating? We've seen so many practices with Levan and Gennady where Gennady's whacking them. Yeah. We see some of the younger or the lighter weight Georgians giving him a lot of work. That's because he wants work.
Yeah, and in a matter-of-fact manner, when you actually speak to Levan about that, he will not. He's never disrespectful of people. He's not in him. But he will say you'll say, "Oh, what about Gennady?" And he'll go, "Gennady's good, but yeah." And you can tell that in his mind, he's extremely confident that he's okay there. And one of the things that Ray, myself, and Alex experienced this week, or last week, I should say, with Levan. Obviously, there was the dude looked sick as a pig for a few days. It was really rough. And at that time, I had obviously the people close to me know I had Levan picked as a heavy favorite. I'd said it a number of times that Devon. I love Devon. He's one of my favorite guys in the world. But even to him, I said, look, in some respects, you've nothing to lose because it's gonna be, you're an underdog, dude. I mean, and he knew that. He 100% knew that. And I said, look, it's possible you can do this, but you kind of have nothing to lose. It's charge of the line brigade. But the other thing is, Levan looked rough as hell. He came into the bed. You remember the bed making, Alex? How rough that dude looked at the bed. He looked like death on a stick.
He was pale.
His nose was red, pale as hell, rough as hell. Had the doctor in, had him on a drip. Looked really rough. And I thought, I don't believe this. The upset's on. And I did my video and I'm like, mate, it's going to be an upset. I mean, Levan is in deep shit. He's dying. He feels rough as arseholes. He's going to struggling to breathe, struggling. And I thought, he's in trouble. And then that morning, I went down to lunch and he was there and he looked like a different hombre. And he called me over. And at that point, I thought, oh, my word. But let's get on to the main topic of the evening after this little super chat that's just come in, targeted our mate, Jerry Cadorette. And he's, here we go, Juji Mugu. And he's put, is that an orange vest or just Jerry's chest? Tell you what, Jerry, where is that?
I don't have
it. Mate, you've not looked better for a while, Jerry. I'm going to say that. I think you look very, very, very ready. Very ready.
Filter. I put one of those filters on. It's a Chippendale filter.
No, I thought you knew Paul was coming on with the cut-offs on as well. You both going for the biggest
It's summertime, man. It's summertime.
Paul looks like he's getting ready for a magazine. Looks like he's hanging out with Mike Aiello. He's going to be on the centerfold.
Dude, I'm surprised, Ray.
The New Jersey Sun. Jersey Shore. That's what I'm at.
Ryan's exposed cable. But remember that time that Todd lost to Lachlan in practice? Yes.
Exactly.
It's practice is practice. Practice is practice. But let's get on to the main topic of tonight, okay?
Hey, guys, Neil, before you get into it, I got to drop, man. My wife's handing me shots through the door. I'm getting yelled at and everything. So I'll drink one for you. And thanks for having me on.
No worries, brother. Thank you very much, Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
See you, Jerry. See you, Alex. Ray.
Hi, Paul.
The next one.
So let's just get on to the main topic of tonight. And what I'm going to do we're going to do a fixed special on this, probably during the week. And I'm going to round up another crew of guys to discuss this as well. But I wanted to just touch base on where we are right now in the sport, in the super heavyweight division, at the optimum level, guys, because I've been in this game a long time. And I am not sure I've ever seen anybody on film or in person in 35 years stronger than that man that was at King of the Table 4. I really am not.
He's built for the sport. It's like he takes your arm and he stops gripping it in the middle of your forearm. So like I made a video and I don't throw things around. I try to be very consistent of what I'm saying. And I really believe we're seeing the peak of arm wrestling like we have never seen before.
You know, when Eddie Hall did the 500, and prior to the lift, people were saying, you can, you know, some of the top guys in the sport were asked, can it be done? And they were saying, look, no, it can't be done. You know, I really don't think so. And then Eddie does that, and everybody's like, unbelievable, man on the moon moment. What the fuck is going on? And it elevates the game. It just pushes it to that next level. Obviously, Jerry, you've been in this game for similar time to myself, sort of 35 years or so. Now, and you've pulled with Cleve Dean. Can't recall you whether you pulled with Lupkus, but Dave Randall, Zauer, Kariev. You've seen all these guys. You've seen all the legendary giants. I don't know whether you ever pulled with Scott Norton, but you've pulled with John Brzenk. You've seen the guys come and go who have been those legendary monsters that have come into the sport. Now, what were your opinions, mate, of what you saw at weekend? I mean, I know obviously Devon got injured early, but he got injured for a reason.
I think, and to answer your question, yes, I did pull with Richard. I thought you were at that meet too. Was it Tahoe? And then they did the King of the Table.
Probably was, mate. Probably was. I don't recall the match. Did you ever pull with Richard when you were coming up and he was at his peak?
Yes. Yeah. And he's always been a beast.
He's one of those guys that was comedy powerful. The reason that I put Levan above all is because he's almost he's the perfect storm of top end strength and size, natural size, plus size that he has worked towards by any means. And he is technically versatile and he's quick. He's got a good head. He doesn't seem to have any real obvious weakness. He can get embroiled in matches and pull in a pretty adaptive style. And his top end strength appears to be unbelievable. You know, speaking to Devon after the match, Devon was saying, yeah, I never experienced anything like that. It's a different dude. It's how far that gap is. You know, Devon obviously got injured and it's difficult for him. When he did get injured, think about this. Just before he got injured, he was convinced that he could get into that match. And he thought, yeah, there might be a gap here. But we see an adjustment from him and a counter adjustment from Levan. The injury occurs. Now, you've got to give Levan credit there. He made adjustments as well and openly said that when I spoke to him afterwards. He said, look, you know, I just made some adjustments after that first round. It's as simple as that. Speaking to him at the venue, he said, yeah, after the first round, I made an adjustment. I changed my angle and it was very comfortable. Now, that's when the damage occurred to Devon. And we'll never know. The rest is supposition and whatever as Ray said a moment ago, what happens, happens. And it did. But what I wanted to try and understand from all you guys is, how far away from the chase impact do you believe this man is?
I want to add a little bit of thing. So into this conversation. So when we talk about arm wrestling and we talk about strong guys coming in, we have seen a lot of guys with amazing lifts, strong hands, bicep, everything. The problem is it almost never translates to the table. If you look at Levan, you like just look at Devon, everything was polished. Top rope, great. Yes. Hook look No angles were opening up. Everything was closing. Everything was protected. It was like he was a middleweight put in a heavyweight's body, arm wrestling like that. Like, if you look at most heavyweights, you know, it's very hard to find someone, or almost impossible to find someone that polished in every angle. Like all of his fun, yes. He was top rolling, he was hooking, everything in between, you know. We're seeing a special human. And I think,
his head, mate, it's not just the technique, it's the adaptability in his mind.
Yeah.
The abuse he came under, imagine the pressure. I mean, the man's from Georgia. It's huge pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex, did you speak to him much beforehand? Did you get into his head at all? Did he talk to you about that?
You mean with Levan?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, remember that I even we speak during the King of the Table, and I said when Levan came, I asked, "What about your shape?" He said he's the best shape of his life. He was the heaviest. He was 180 kilos. He was very confident because of his results, because he knows his shape, because he knows that he already did everything to be like this kind of himself. He knows, like, he's not a freshman. He was pulling with all guys in amateur career. He pulls without any like stopping moments in the professional career. Like, he already know what to expect from his body, and he has a very, very good mindset. And even that day when I saw that he was a little bit not healthy, like not in the 100%, I asked how you feel. He said, tomorrow everything will be fine. Everything will be okay. Like I now maybe even 30% better than in the last previous competition. So to say something about Levan, we need to remember his like way. Not only like, this is not a strong guy from strongman who comes 2 years before.
This is
He's an arm wrestler who developed himself year by year, developed techniques, developed mindsets, develop the power, the special power, like not like the usual when you can lift a lot or carry a lot, but every finger, wrist, pronation, everything. Also, you can analyze his level by the matches with Gennady. For example, previous matches when he was already more stronger, but lose by lack of experience and some like not big mistakes. But now, for now, it's a Levan which actually had a very good experience, and he will be doing mistakes. And if you even do something, some troubles, like remember the last match with Rivas on the votes, I don't remember which year,
yep.
And even Rivas put him like a tough match.
Yep.
So he knows if something goes in not that way, he knows how to change the way. Yeah. Also the match with Vitaly in the 2017, for example, Vitaly was able to go somewhere here, and here Levan was able to go from that position and that way. So he have
and he didn't panic.
Number of weapons.
Panic.
He's ready. He's not one-sided. He's actually very smart.
I'm glad you made that point, Alex. Right, because I've for on a number of shows, if you chart back, I've said one of the things that really interests me about Levan is a lot of people felt that it was just this top end power. He's just super strong. And the comparisons were drawn with guys like Cleve, guys like Richard. And I want to come back to Jerry in a minute about the Richard thing, because when I had Richard on the show, Richard is one of the straightest, most absolutely genuine men you will ever meet in your life. And he said, look, I didn't have an arm wrestling table. I never trained arm wrestling. I lifted stuff heavy and then I'd show up and arm wrestle. And to tie into what yourself and Ray were saying about the fact that Levan is an arm wrestler who is very versatile, very complete. And when you looked at something like we saw in the top 8 encounter with Larratt, I said the other day on the show, I was very interested to see and I will speak to Levan about this, how much trouble he felt he was in that match, because you can look at that and you think to yourself, oh, if Vitaly had 5 kilos more pressure and he busted that wrist back, that could have made a difference in that opening pin. But then, if you're Levan, do you just think, yeah, okay, no problem. I'll make an adjustment, and I feel like I've got the capability to make an adjustment and shut the show down. You know, now there's two ways you can view that. Either the Latin hit his red line, the elastic limit was exceeded, and he damaged something, and then it switched his arm off, or it was simply that, yeah, okay, it was like the tracer round that Vitaly fired into in that first opening hit, and once that had happened, Levan just made some changes. He just adjusted his style, shut the light out, and that was the end of that. And that's the thing that I still haven't, and there's been nobody good enough to actually show where his level's at. How do we know what he can and can't do? How do we know? His matches, he just decimates people. It's not even close.
I think we're gonna hit new era. So this will be a new era for heavyweights. So if you look at every, and you can guys correct me if I'm wrong, you know, you all know your thing, but if you look at any heavyweight, most of the time the guy had one specific skill that just worked, and most of the time it wasn't very polished. Like if you look at Pushkar, he lost his hand a lot of times, still power through, you know.
Same thing, only harder.
Same thing, only harder. Devon, you know, can do a lot of technical stuff, but doesn't have the power behind it to stay consistently close. You look at like Dave or Dennis, they get exposed on same things over and over and over again. We're seeing something different where it's power and technique combined. Yeah. And it shows, and pretty much it does show the way, like how far you can run away from the pack when you have all those things combined. So we have, you know, we will see this in, you know, in lower weight classes all the time, especially the top guys. They're very polished what they're doing, and they're strong, and that separates them from everyone else.
Your guy in the chat just put Dennis would have crushed Levan, and you guys are way over. Bullshit.
I don't think so.
Absolute bullshit, dude.
Yeah, I can, my argument for that is like,
not close.
Like Jerry's been pulling for 30 years. He's still at the top in North America, maybe at the top of the world. You'll pull Gennady and we will figure it out. So there's not a lot of change in arm wrestling. It doesn't change that much. And now you watch Dennis matches, and then you watch the same guys versus Levan. Okay, different setting, tournament, but still fresh on fresh. Dave was giving him hard time when Levan just ate him up. I think stylistically, Levan is something like we never seen before. You know, if me and Alex, we have the same training and I can lift the same weights in every position that he can, he will crush me every time just because how he is built and how I am built. That matters. You know, there's a lot of things in arm wrestling that you need to take account on. That's one of those things. Just look at that man. We were all, like, every time we saw him, we're like, the fuck is this? You know, you look at him, you know, it doesn't even make sense, and kind of makes, and he's just, you know, and yeah, I think we're going to hit a new era. I think everyone will understand, like, they need to be polished. They cannot just think that I'm just going to power through. You know, power or size doesn't matter when you don't have anything, you know, when you don't improve positions where you keep losing. And looks like Levan has improved everything he's been losing at, you know.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Sumptuous, don't worry, mate. We haven't missed your super chat. I'm coming to those. You just got to take a break between the chats, but I will get to them now, mate, and then we'll keep going on this because obviously your chat is pertinent to it. So Sumptuous, thanks for your super chat, brother. He's put, Devon Larratt is the only person who was able to put the brakes on the strongest version of Levan in the first round out of all arm wrestlers. Do you agree?
No, that's, you know, his arm could have been in almost pin position. Levan stopped him there. I think Vitaly did bigger job than anyone else has done because it was a center position. And yeah.
So Silky Wilkie's put in there, he's put, I don't agree. Unfortunately, I think I saw Devon bounce off the pad before he began to hold. No, he didn't contact the pad, but it did go below the pad. It was a parallel pin. Sumptuous has put in there, would you agree? Devon put the brakes, it's almost the same thing. I think he thought we'd missed the first one there. Put the brakes on the strongest version of Levan. Every arm wrestler before this match was flash pinned by him in the first round. Well, again, as Ray said, not true. We have seen that two guys, Kigali didn't get flashed.
Kigali was fighting, and just look at how he has evolved. It's like, you talk with Lemon, he has this mind, like true mind of a champion. He doesn't want to stop. He just wants to arm wrestle. And he wants proving time and time after again. So every time we see him, like literally, you see a better version of him. There's a lot of guys that say, this is my best version, or this will be, whatever. He actually looks the part on every other match. Like the things that he was lacking with Kigali, he improved on the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. It's kind of amazing. So for me, how long the motivation will keep, because that's the thing that breaks the champs. It's like, it's very lonely and cold on top. How long will you do? And the true threats, we need guys rising. We need guys coming up and, trying and challenging him. So he knows where he is and we know where he is,
Let's bring Jerry into that, mate. You obviously, like we say, you faced all these guys over the years. Is this a man you're going to actively pursue, Jerry, or do you not want anything to do with the dude?
Come on, of course I want him, right? I think anyone that's a competitor wants to go against someone that's deemed the best. But I think, like everyone's saying, I think he's just a great total package that we got to find what is his weakness, right? And I think, I think it's tough to say, but I would love the opportunity to go against him. So I want to obviously get through Gennady and find out who's next. And then, down the road, would I like to go against him? Sure. How do I think I would do? I don't know. Right. I mean, I'm going to go in with the mindset that I would do the best that I would be able to do. But I think with me diving in, and I think, he might be, I don't know if he's as fast as me. Right. And if I was able to get into a position where I'm able to dive in, I'd like to see how he could do with someone that presses against his, because he's not someone that really goes inside. He's so strong. He has that big hand. Is it gonna be a problem when I dive in? And then how will the power match up? I think I'm pretty strong, right? I mean, I know he's strong. So I'd like to see the match.
Yeah. And just to answer the question for the guys that are saying, "Oh, you didn't answer, Neil." Well, my opinion on the Devon stop in the first round, I actually believe that Devon did get the brakes on Levan early on. I think that he did very, very well to do that, and I was quite excited about the prospect of a potential match coming from there. At the time, I think it was very evident when Devon was so confident. That's not bravado. He obviously felt that there was something there. What I'm not sure is that whether the second round start was down to a mistake by Devon and obviously the injury, or adjustments made by Levan. It's hard. That's supposition. We don't know what happened there. But what I do know, there was enough pressure on that bicep to create damage. As simple as that. However that damage was created, maybe it was from the people were saying, oh, well, when Levan hit him before the start in the first round and ripped him over, that may have done damage. Yeah, sure, it may have done. It may not. We don't know. Will we ever know? Will we, balls? Nobody has a clue. On the second start, was it something on the hit? That's where I believe it happened, yeah. Was that created by the fact that Devon was so stretched out on his bicep when he did slow Levan down and the amount of pressure between both guys? Very likely that happened. Very, very likely. But again, it's complete supposition and we don't know. You're never going to know. All we do know is that on that second hit, something in Devon's arm let go. And at that point, the match then was made far easier for Levan either way. And it made Levan look much stronger. Not that the dude needs to look any stronger. But I personally believe, as Jerry and Alex and Ray have just said, I'm going to bring Alex in again in a minute and Jerry in again in a minute. I think this is a different dude. I really think this is a different dude. I think usually, like Ray said, you get guys, they're either a boxer or a puncher. They're the power guy or the really technical guy. There's guys that have sort of blurred those boundaries before, but never at this absolute elite level of size and top end strength. And I think Levan does that. And I don't think I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg on what he can do. for you know, the people that were saying, oh, Dennis would wipe him out. I just think that's bullshit. Could Dennis have beaten him? I don't know, maybe, but he certainly wouldn't have pasted him. No way. No. Absolutely no way. Levan is definitely comparable in top end strength with Dennis. In my opinion, he is stronger because I think he is a better arm wrestler than a more complete arm wrestler, significantly more complete arm wrestler, in my opinion. So again, I hope. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, Dennis come back and pull him, because it's just not fair. The best of Dennis we saw in his era, he was really solid. I think we haven't seen the best of Levan. My concern there is, how long can he stay hungry? And that's where I wanted to sort of come back to yourself, Alex. That's got to be a challenge for the dude, doesn't it? I mean, who the hell's he pull next? Who's credible? Who would you put him against next?
You mean Levan versus next? Who will be next opponent for him?
Yeah, who makes most logical sense for you?
Okay, I will answer, and after this, I will need to go, guys. And for me, like, if somebody speak about Dennis or Levan level, because what they have the same. They have the same, that they are like the greatest guy of their era. Because Dennis and his prime was like the strongest guy, yeah? And what does it mean? It means that he have no motivation to be on that day even bigger or stronger or something else. Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm not sure how better Dennis can be. If somebody will beat him, how will he improve after that? Yes. Did he will be go away or just improve and do something with technique or new style? I remember the same situation was with Andrei Pushkar to won with Michael. He was able and teach himself to pull on the triceps when usually he never did it in the past. And for example, about Levan of today, I will repeat one more time, guys. Levan, it's a guy who's like a perfect arm wrestler of today. He built himself year by year. It takes years of experience of best training partners and coaches, and also his huge talent. So he's like not just a strong, not just a big, but he's like a very technical, like for heavyweight. He very smart, very confident, very powerful. And for today, honestly, in my opinion, for today, we don't have like equal opponent for Levan. Maybe we have somewhere, we don't know and not sure, some new era Levan, which needs just the time to growing up to be best version of himself, like Levan did. So the same, like we need to remember that Levan takes like 10 years to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And for today, yeah, we can put somebody versus Levan, but if it will be equal match, I would say no. For today, for this moment, he's absolutely king, number one. And honestly, I don't see anyone who can be make any troubles for him for today. In the future, maybe we have somebody. We have guys who can improve, and if they will be like motivated to improve very much, yes. But for today, Levan is absolutely king. And if you will be compared like level of Dennis of that era, Dennis was the best of that day. But just the days of that days and of today have a difference. So the prime arm wrestler of today, Levan, it's the best, I believe, it's my opinion. I believe it's the best arm wrestler of all the history of arm wrestling in the effectiveness on the arm fight. Yeah. Maybe some guys has a great potential. Maybe if somebody take the Richard Lapkus, if Richard Lapkus go to in his prime, goes to nails pickup, a training camp, and Neil showed him how to train in the best way, what to do and what to do to be arm wrestler. Because like you say, Richard says always that he is a strong guy who like powerful, but don't do something very, very special to like to train in the special kinds of tendons and muscles, which is very important in arm wrestling. Maybe with Cliff Dean the same. Maybe if it was just enough and Cliff was motivated on that day to be that type of arm wrestler, but maybe, but it's everything about maybe, guys. But the Levan is reality of today, and it's a very cool reality because we see the very high level of technique, of science, of type IQ, and of power, and of size. So he's absolutely the king. This is my answer. And guys, I need to say you thank you very much. Jerry, Ray, Neil, see you. I just need to go. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Really appreciate it. We're also going to jump off here in a moment, but I'll just knock over these super chats. Remember, guys, tonight's show brought to you by armwrestlingforums.com. Enormous amount going on in the sport at the moment. If you want to follow that, you can get a weekly newsletter every Monday. Get yourself over to armwrestlingforums.com. Get yourself signed up, and you will get the newsletter that's going to keep you in the loop, keep your finger on the pulse. Armwrestlingforums.com is where you need to be. Check it out, guys. So, Sumptuous. He sent a super chat over. Ray, you should watch on Devon's forearm or on my channel the Zoom version of the first round from every camera angle you want. Well, I'm going to answer on Ray's behalf there initially. I'm going to say that we probably got a lot more camera angles than you did, brother. We were backstage and we had camera angles that have not been released and you won't have seen. But believe me, we got some fucking awesome angles, and we got them in slow-mo. We really had them. I mean, we really did. Ray, over to you.
Yeah, it's the guys. There's a video on Levan's elbow is like on the. It's still on a pad. They're like, the elbow. No, even if it went off, I think the pin was on the first one. He cracked his wrist open, and he kind of stayed open with his knuckles going lower. Then they jumped up. So it was a clear pin. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you're looking for there. It was a clear pin. Did Devon stop him or gave him some pressure there? Yes, he did for sure. But also, I think Levan could stop. Yeah.
He's put Vitaly lost the center, whereas Devon held Levan where he was at his weakest. Moreover, Levan just simply couldn't finish Devon despite being stronger. Well, I disagree with that, to be honest, mate. I mean, I don't know. Jerry, how did you see that first pin, mate, in terms of the stop and so on?
I mean, I think it was clear that Levan was a different level than Devon. I mean, Devon was doing what he could to try to stop him, slowed him down, but think about this. We're talking about how much he was able to just slow him down. It wasn't a match, right? It wasn't close. We're weighing this thing on how much he was able to slow him down. It's crazy.
At the end, when the hand is already touching the pad, what are you looking for, guys? It's ridiculous.
I'm just in awe at how good Levan did. So I mean, going to motivate people to step up and change their game. So, like you said, it's just that next barrier, right? He broke through it. Now he's up at that next barrier. Now you gotta follow him, or you get left in the dust.
It's like you say. It's how many guys are out there. We're getting to that extreme level. How many guys are out there that can actually do what would be prepared to do what Levan has done? Have the genetic capability to build to that level? Would want to do that? Or from a country that embraces arm wrestling enough to facilitate that? It's just it's a series of very big ifs, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's a series of very, very big ifs. But I mean, myself and Ray talked about it a lot when we were in the booth there, and it was shocking. It was shocking. And if Levan was not back to his best, he wasn't feeling good. I can't even. All I know is that I saw him for a number of days where he was rough as hell. rough as hell. And Devon was, you know, feeling strong, looked rock solid, looked huge. I was impressed with Devon. I thought the dude has come ready. Massive respect to him. Typical Devon. Showed up ready to do it, gave it everything he had. Just outgunned. Outgunned. Simple as that. So Sumptuous with another super chat. Thanks again, mate. Really appreciate your super chat. He's put, it was referee who gave the win, but Levan couldn't bury Devon to the pad. You can watch it on Devon's Forearms channel. Actually, Levan was on fouling position as well, which wasn't called out. I do disagree with that. I don't believe that Levan fouled at all. I just don't. I don't think that was the case. We had great angles on that.
Yeah. Bill Collins looked at every angle to figure out did they make the right call. The quality you're seeing wasn't the quality we are seeing. We saw everything a little bit more crisp. And I checked out that video. Like, so if you can still see the tip of his elbow when he goes down, it's on the pad. It's on, like, he couldn't have it lifted up in the air, you know. It's weird. We're looking for the, so I can stop a lot of guys when I can just pretty much drive my arm back as much and pronate at the end position, but you will get injured most of the time. We saw the same thing happen with Kirsten and Bozhidar. Same thing, exactly the same thing, but he got way more severe injury there. You know, it's, I don't know what you guys are looking for. It's,
I mean, we saw a great deal of angles on the first match. I mean, we really did. We got them from the GoPros. We got them from every angle. And if you're looking above at the camera that's coming above, it looks like there's a significant difference between the pad and Devon's knuckles, but it definitely skated under. It didn't touch the pad, but it went parallel for a moment. It definitely went parallel. Now, Devon did get a stop, did get a slow in action, did feel confidence, did feel that he was in the match, and who knows, maybe he was. If he hasn't got injured, could he have pulled something out his ass? Who knows? But it was an uphill struggle. And what I would say is that Levan also has the opportunity to amend and adjust his position. He seemed to do that. And speaking to him afterwards, he said that's exactly what he did. And it's hard to doubt that's the case because obviously of the outcome of the match. Devon, it's commendable for Devon that he even carried on pulling after he suffered a very serious injury at the start of the second round, which is devastating. Imagine if you're Devon. Imagine how devastating that is for the lad. When you are prepared to go out, it's a horrible thing to happen. In a match you've given that much effort to, 1 minute you feel like you're in it, and then any chance you've got, and he'll have been very aware that his chances were just blown in the wind. Immediately that injury happened, and he knew. I mean, we called it, we had the silencer buttons on in there. We were talking back. I said, it's over. So I said, he's feeling his bicep. Something's gone. We were even looking on the replay if we could see the bicep visibly bust. But we were very clear. I'd love to know what he said to Marcio, mate. You know when he walked over to Marcio?
Yeah.
He was talking to him. I'd love to know what he said to Marcio. He shook his head and said something. I don't know what he said, but it was probably something along the lines of, well, that's fucked it. Something's just blown in my eye. You know, we've all been there. If something goes, it goes. You can't. And he was already having to. He was chasing shadows already. He was having to go to the deepest of the deepest in terms of the well of potential. Then you get hurt. God, that must have been devastating for the lad. Absolutely. I mean, you'll have been there many times, Jerry. Horrible thing to happen.
Absolutely.
You know, it's terrible. But the people were saying, Devon said he didn't want a rematch. Damn right he did. Because the effort and time that he's put into just getting to try to hit that level, forget everything else. I just don't think he'd want to do that again. And that's the biggest thing. Just to go and do that again, it's just ridiculous. Guys, we've been on here for about just under 2 hours, so we're going to call it there. I want to say massive thanks to the guest tonight, for Jerry Cadorette for coming on the show, for Ray, for the Fix Crew for always showing up. I want to say thanks to all of you guys for tuning in, checking out the show. Please give us a like, a share, and please hit that subscribe button if you can, guys. Also, head over to the Arm Wars channel and sub there. I also want to just mention Jerry and Ray's YouTube channels. Please get over there and give these guys a sub. What you want at the moment, Jerry? I think you're on like 7,500, 8,000 subs over there. Where are you at?
Yeah, I think 7,000.
So get over, and this is one of the best to ever do it in the heavyweight division. Make no mistake about that, guys. One of the finest, also one of the best blokes in the game. This is a very solid dude, let me tell you now. Rolly Ray as well at the Voice of Arm Wrestling. Get over there, check out the content that this man does. It's off the chain. Doesn't matter whether you want to see interviews, whether you want to see general content, whether you want to see opinion, or whether you want to see technical training and instruction. You can find it all on the Voice as well. So get over there, give these guys some love, give them some subs, and check it out. Thank you again for everybody who's come onto the show tonight to check us out. Really hope you enjoyed it. And until we see you next time here on Supernatural Strength, take it easy, peeps.
Owen's getting slapped on 6th.
What's he saying? Say it.
Owen is getting slapped on the 6th.
Oh, it's closing in, son. Let's go.